Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com. Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Walk-Ons in Brewley, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. Brian Kelly press conference as a part of our Monday show. That'll come your way about 11:40, and then we'll come back to wrap things up on a rainy morning here on the west side. But glad that you're with us after a fantastic and wild weekend of football all over the place. If for LSU to be off this weekend, you had a lot of time to watch everything else. There was a lot of everything else. Jimmy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Charlie.
Man, the Saints win 26-14. First win of the Kellen Moore era. The first win for Spencer Rattler as a starting quarterback. And the first win for the Saints, period, since the beginning of last December. It had been 300 days since the New Orleans Saints had won a football game, and you could tell the joy in the locker room afterwards, the relief, if you want to use that word.
Oh, I think a lot of times in sports, winning is a relief. That's not in a Saints locker room. It's joy. It's joy. This is not like Alabama winning and not escaping or something.
Not relief because of the pressure, but relief. Just hey, we finally won one.
I think it's sheer celebration.
It was plenty of that. 5 turnovers ended up swinging the balance of this game in New Orleans' favor. Big plays by Kool-Aid McKinstry. Big play by I thought the biggest play of the game. And look, there was a number. You could have said the 87-yarder to Rashid Shaheed, which cut the lead, which was 14 to 6 at that point, to 14 to 13. That was a massive play in the game. But for me, the one that Brian Brzee makes to punch the ball out from Scattaboo when it's still a one-score game and the Giants are threatening on New Orleans' side of the field, to punch that out and have it run back for a touchdown, it completely swings the game. The Saints, this is early in the fourth quarter. The Saints are up less than a touchdown, and if the Giants go in there, it's a what and what game the rest of the way for New Orleans. As it was, that extended the lead instead of erasing the lead, and with a 12-point margin, the Saints were able to hold the Giants out of the end zone for the rest of the way. In fact, the entire second half. The takeaways were paramount. Rattler had a nice day. No sacks, no turnovers. Got the ball out. The Saints had just enough of a running game. The return of Taysom Hill. It wasn't on the stat sheet a whole lot, but they seemed to rally around him a little bit, and it was something else the Giants had to deal with. So good for the Saints. Nobody deserves to lose that many games in a row and not have some kind of reward for your. I'm talking about the players and the coaches,
okay.
Jimmy. Well, I don't want to talk about Mickey Loomis today.
Okay.
I just want to talk about the game.
But I mean, you say no. But I mean, you put yourself in poor. Okay, go ahead.
No. I was pretty much done. I felt good for him yesterday. I just did, and I understand what the
big
big
for the fans too.
Yeah,
that's
what I meant.
Still showing up. My man with the Kool-Aid hat on. Oh, how beautiful is that? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. That's quintessential Saints fan base, being creative and coming down. I thought the Taysom Hill thing was minimal. I mean, Charlie.
It was minimal on the stat sheet. I thought he gave them an emotional lift yesterday.
I thought the 5 turnovers gave him emotional lift. That helps. I mean, that's the big trump card here. I mean, when we breaking it down, I mean, it's just that simple. Dart came out and the Giants came out extremely sharp. When they start coughing up the ball, it was just Saints got back in it. Saints took the lead. Saints extended their lead. It was, and how much was, just bad play by the Giants, sloppy play, and how much was created turnovers? It was both. And I thought Rattler against I thought it was. We were watching this game together at the Queen. I was like, this offensive game plan, execution, quarterback play, trying to get the ball out quick because of you have a respected front that you're going against. Didn't have a sack.
No sacks. I thought that was one of the biggest things in the game. The Giants have arguably more invested in their defensive line than anybody in football. Kayvon Thibodeau was a high first-round pick. So was Abdul Carter. They traded a second-round pick for Brian Burns, which they robbed Carolina on that. And then Dexter Lawrence is, I think right now he's currently the highest-paid defensive lineman in the NFL. If not, he's close. That's a ton of your resources that are into that defensive line. And I didn't think the Saints were overmatched yesterday.
So what I was getting to was that this is we don't know, but this was a team that was well coached. But this is a coach that's complete question mark on. It's a quarterback who we don't think has much of a future, but played solid. You got solid quarterback play. There was nothing wrong with his play. And then you got a special talent like a guy like Shaheed, who our buddy Mike Delicano stuck around after and said, after Tyreek Hill, this guy is maybe the best deep threat in all the NFL.
I got a stat for you, back set up.
And he completely flipped that safety around, and when it was a no contest as far as pulling away and taking it to the distance. So it was, Olave, made a bunch of – they have weapons. They do have weapons. How good's their offensive line and quarterback play? But it was serviceable. But there's no doubt, Scatterboo. He's not a fumbler, but he fumbled on that play. Wasn't near the goal line. He was pissed. He was looking, wanted new gloves on the sideline. He's been a bright star for the Giants. One of the few bright spots that they have. Keep in mind that this is a Giants offensive unit that you take away their biggest weapon. We didn't know how they were going to move the ball. Dart looked really sharp, and then he kind of acted like a rookie, making his first start. And it was. There's some bad football games I like out there like that. There's actually the entertainment level. It's not a whole lot of people outside of the rooting interests were really glued to it. But the game was fine. And then it got completely sloppy where the Giants could not stop turning the ball over. And, you see what you have. But I thought Rattler is probably a backup when it's all, career long. But, the whole thing of, it's not just on him when they're losing all these games, but his first career win. So that's sort of to your theme, to follow up your theme of feel good for somebody.
Yeah.
Moore his first, Rattler his first, and you have some of the veterans as well. The Shaheed thing in his last year of his contract is going to be interesting because if the Saints don't pay him, I got to believe somebody will. Because what do we say about Charles? Guys that can do things that other guys can't.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
Since 2022, which was when he made his NFL debut, he has 16 plays of 40 yards or more. Only Tyreek Hill has more, and it's 2 more at 18 to back up Mike's point. I thought that
I love him.
No, he's fantastic, and
I'm just trying to get him more production and more, just trying to figure out ways. But this is Kellen Moore's specialty, and that was you got to be selective when you're asking for enough protection to throw the ball that far downfield. And I thought it was a really nice game plan by Moore. It allowed his quarterback to have some success.
It was a terrific design on the touchdown to Shaheed because they went with 3 tight ends. So they've got the Giants looking in the backfield, and they get him loose there. They break a tendency, and it was a really nice play design.
And why I balk at the Taysom Hill comment is because Taysom Hill has come in when his team is really strong and needs a spark. Didn't need it. Did he? He's a fan favorite, and he's one of my favorites too. But I think his impact on that game and that final score yesterday was minimal.
Well, he did. There's not a lot of stats to that he did. He had the 119-yard pass.
It's nice to have him back. It's nice to have that club in your bag.
Yeah, they kind of rally around him a little bit. He's like you say, he's a favorite. But no, he didn't make a ton of plays yesterday. I just thought that they benefited from his presence. Now for Rattler, here in the early going, here's where I think he's improved from last year. I thought he had improved in protecting the football. He's turning the ball over less. He's taking less sacks. He's taken a lot of, prior to yesterday, a lot of checkdowns, and that's fine. Those things that don't ultimately lose you the football game. The knock was he wasn't making a whole lot of plays to win them games either. Well, that throw was a big-time throw. I'm not saying he can make it every week. It was
a nice throw.
That was a very nice throw. It was a nice design, nice play call. The whole thing was terrific there. So if he can make more of those plays, he's going to make it harder for.
He's not done improving.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. If he can make more of those plays,
10th start.
Yeah, he started out 11. He started out 0-10.
He hadn't even hit the halfway point of the 25.
So he's got this year. That's progress.
And he's going to have some bad days too. He's not done. The premature final evaluation of quarterbacks is just unbelievable at all levels.
Same draft class as Bo Nix, by the way. Same draft class as Bo Nix. Bo Nix dealing with some pretty similar issues, but has been a starter this whole time.
Bo Nix took a very shaky day and finished out very strong. And it was a Sean Payton, I'm going to run the ball first. And so he helped him out. And we'll get to that a little bit later with some other quarterbacks not having – quarterback's best friend is a rushing game, along with some other things, but that certainly helped. He did not panic down 14.
No.
And
he was 1 for 10 on balls that were more than 10 yards down the field in the first three quarters. 4 for 4.
He's an analytics, headache. Wait a minute, you're down 14, you score, you go for 2, right? No, he doesn't do that. He goes when he's down 7 and goes for 2. So Peyton is, he's something, man. Best win for him. We'll get to him later. Too.
One more thing on the Saints, and then I'll quit. One of my least favorite things to talk about is officiating. I just can't stand it because it just aggravates me. Because we can sit here and argue about this bad call all day. Okay, it does nothing. Okay, nobody. You may make you feel better, but you're not going to get any mileage out of screaming at the ump. But that call on Carl Granderson yesterday was absolutely a suspendable offense. For that official.
Big call at the time, too.
Yes. The Giants are trying to get back in the game. This is the fourth quarter. And what really irritates me about this call is you're trying to get a quarterback on the ground, okay? You can't hit him high. You can't hit him low. And you can't hit him late. Okay, all of those, fine, I get it. But you got to get him on the ground. And if you watched Buffalo and New England last night, how many times were Josh Allen and Drake May almost on the ground, almost out of bounds, and make a play. So you got to make sure you get him on the ground. And they teach you to release the guy so you don't fall on him. And Granderson does everything right. He does it exactly. You could tell Kellen Moore in the postgame just trying not to get fined. But he said, this is how we coach it, okay? This is how the league has instructed us to coach it. Hit the quarterback. Don't hit him below the waist. Don't hit him above the neck and shoulder area, and don't land on him. And Granderson, this is a teaching video. You show this video in camp and say, this is how you do it. And they flagged him anyway.
Okay, they flagged him. You make a lot of mistakes, but there's a review, right?
No.
Uh-uh. See, that's the problem. You're going to miss things for real time, Charlie. You're going to miss them. You're going to miss.
This wasn't a close call. This wasn't he almost hit him.
Why is it not reviewable?
The official behind Granderson is the one who threw the flag. My guess is he saw high contact, but it wasn't
he
there.
Anticipates. And what you do is
I think that's right.
The biggest flaw, when you really blow a call, the biggest flaw is anticipate. What looks like, no, you got to see it. Miss something before you call something that's not there. And then when you have a really bad call, they're calling what they think happened based on what they're seeing, but they didn't actually see it because it didn't happen.
This was the phantom foul in basketball.
But you anticipated.
And it was irritating, and I hope that the league says something about it.
Why no review? Why no review when you look at it and say, no, this is a mistake?
4-hour games.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Well, then there you go. So hate the game, not the player, because, Charlie, just this end, that's go on a field. Go on a field in a high school game, see how fast it's looking. You go on a game on a field for an NFL game, it is moving really quick. And I understand they're trained, but you're going to miss things. But I don't anticipate. But this is not the only thing is anticipated that they
You
miss.
could expand the expedited review. Just be in their ears when they're talking about it. Be like, hey, guys, that's not a foul. And just get on with it. After further discussion, no foul on the field.
And the expedited is really good when executed properly because there's no delay. No, forget the review. No, we're moving on. Okay? Yeah. So you have that. And so this one wasn't close. Why not allow your booth, who has the luxury of quick replay, slowing it down? No, this didn't happen. It's just a mulligan for your officials trying to officiate the game in real time.
Somebody in the God spot could have corrected this instantly. I mean, this is not one.
Do the rules allow him to do?
No, they don't.
And that's
they could. This one was as bad as it gets, and it just. And I've been on the sideline. I understand how fast the game is. This one wasn't close, so I hope that they address that. We're at Walk-Ons in Bruley.
Yeah, Charlie.
My spot. This is my spot.
This is Max Gotro. Max Gotro country.
We're at Walk-Ons in Bruley.
I'm looking at the bar stools. I got my seat picked out already. I've been here plenty of times. Great bar, great selection, great service. By the way,
if you're a beer connoisseur, this is one of the best places to go because you got about 4 dozen beers on tap. All of your traditional favorites, plus the seasonal brews that they rotate out. I'm sure we're going to have some fall. Jimmy, you predicted fall. Fall is here. We have some fall brews, and then we'll get some winter brews as we get to a little bit later. So you're always going to have something. You can go back on your favorites, or you can go to something. You want to try something new, you can do that here at Walk-Ons in Bruley.
Yeah, and like Max is alluding to as far as the service, and that's not by accident. That's one thing. You go to Walk-Ons anywhere, they have a system in place. They're training and they do things where you're going to get consistency in your service wherever you go. Not consistency in the food that you order, the drinks that are prepared, and also the service that you get. So, no, it's no doubt that applies also to our walk-ons here in Bruley.
Live at Walk-Ons live at lunch.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. It's brought to you by Supreme Rice, with helping Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. All our Supreme Rice grown, built, and processed in South Louisiana. For more information, go to SupremeRice.com. We saw so many things in college football this weekend, and it's hard to know where to start. But the game that shocked me, shocked everybody, I think, was out at the Rose Bowl, where UCLA, a 24.5-point underdog, beat Penn State outright, 42-37. We've seen big upsets before. We've seen bigger upsets by the point spread than this one. But I'm very hard pressed, other than maybe Stanford's win over USC, to think of a game that surprised me more than this one. And when Stanford beat USC that year in 2007 as a 41.5-point underdog, USC doubled them on the yardstick and turned the ball over 5 times. In other words, there were some unusual things happen. UCLA came out on fire. Nico had, an unreal game, especially running the football. UCLA, who was not only down the head coach, but was with interim coordinators on both sides, with an interim play caller who found out on Tuesday that he was going to be calling plays on Saturday. Yeah, Jerry Neuheisel, who's Rick Neuheisel's son. So you've And
everybody knows him now.
Right.
It looks just like him, too.
You were blown out of this same stadium 3 weeks ago by New Mexico, and here comes Penn State smarting off a loss in double overtime to Oregon. You take the first drive, you go right down the field, you ambush them with an onside kick that they don't see coming that's wide open. You get a field goal out of that drive, and we're off to the races. UCLA led this thing wire to wire. The yardstick was almost identical. Actually, UCLA had them by almost 100 yards, but the first downs, a lot of the other stuff was very, very close. There was only one turnover in the game that was by Penn State, other than the downs which UCLA caused. This was not a fluke. UCLA beat them on Saturday. I don't know if they could beat them again. I don't know if they could beat them 2 or 3 times out of 10, but they beat them on Saturday. This wasn't a bad weather, high turnover, somebody was out game. They just beat them, and that shocked the hell out of me.
Well, the shock is Nico, but it's so when you get the say, okay, it's your offense on Tuesday night when they let go Sinceri. So they let go the head coach, and they let go Sinceri going into this one. They're 0-4, and they got housed at home by New Mexico. I watched New Mexico Friday night. They're not good, okay? But so you got to, what do? You make some adjustments, but you can't install a whole lot. You got to try and figure out what does he do comfortably, because Nico threw for 166 yards. Big deal, right? Oh, but just, 7 yards an attempt, 2 TDs, but just some production with his arm allows him, then all of a sudden, man, he can really run the ball. It just they were chipping the ends. In the conversation with his dad, he said, man, I've watched Penn State enough to know, like, those ends are a problem, kind of chip those. But it looked like a different quarterback to where, like, okay, I see a little bit why this kid was so highly recruited, as opposed to a kid that great athlete can't throw. He threw the ball. They had just enough with their passing game to loosen him up where then his legs could really turn over. They were 10 of 16 on third down. Check out what they were on third down before this game against much less heralded group. And we'll get to why they're heralded to begin with. But this was, Charlie, but they also whooped them up front, rushing the football.
Yeah, for over 200 yards, right? Like
269.
Yeah.
269. Oregon didn't rush for 269 against the Penn State. So this was a classic case where, when you try and preach at all levels, from U10 to the NFL, don't let one loss turn into 2 or 3. You pitcher. Don't let one walk you upset. You walk the guy. Don't let it turn to 2 or 3. Don't let, you can't let next play, next game. And they did a very poor job. And there was nothing on tape that could gain the respect of their opponent. So they obviously didn't do that. And they're scratching and clawing when they're in a game all of a sudden. Even at the NFL level, Rams, with all the injuries that San Francisco had, we can't spot a team 14 points and then start trying to play. And so you can't spot them 10 points trying to play. They got the block punt for a touchdown. To try and get them close, talking about Penn State. But then when it's all said and done, what was one of the big stories? Aller comes back, but also both of those backs would have been drafted fairly high, the running backs for Penn State.
Allen and Singleton.
So when you're in your last play, 7-point game, 4th and 2 from the 9, I'm going to rush Drew Aller, a design run for Drew Aller. Drew Aller's going to be my leading rusher for the game. And where a lot of people, including myself, like, Drew Aller should not be this high on draft boards. Drew Aller is not. He had a lot of heart and toughness. He did what he can, but where's handed off to this is supposed to be your bread and butter offensively, and so one play caller really had a good day. Okay, because he put a quarterback in positions to succeed more, knowing his limitations and making some easy throws and some easy reads along the course of the way. And the other one who was highly heralded, his name again, Kotelnicki. Okay, he doesn't know what he's trying to do right now. I mean, he's just not saying he hasn't accomplished things in the past, and he hadn't, but that's your Charlie. You play if you have a play. So you're telling me you got about 5, like, okay, our 4th down or our 2-point conversion to win the game. Here's our 5 best. You know that. You have that in your mind, in your briefcase, in your playbook, before you even get in the plane to go to Los Angeles. That's your play?
I can't argue with that. Did they panic and get away from the rushing game too early? They were down 10 points before they get the ball. They're down 20 at the half. Did they panic a little bit?
A lot of those runs, a lot of Aller's runs were called on pass plays, maybe so. And that's the problem with Aller and Manning, who everybody wants to rip him right now. Manning's made, his 6th start? He's young. He's going to make some mistakes. But they're both not getting rid of the ball. They're both not trusting the passing game. And those two guys, for pocket passers, they're not dual threats. Okay? Pocket passers to not be committed to the passing game first. They're quitting on the passing game too much. And that's a problem with guys who can really run, because they can get away with that. But it's just not. But here's the thing. They beat number 7 team, right? 24 points, 24-point spread, right? Why in the hell are they number 7 in the country? Because where's their wins?
Because they're
Florida International
preseason. Yeah,
but this is the problem with the polls, and thank God that they're gone. Okay, once the games start, your preseason ranking shouldn't influence. They did nothing to earn a number 7 ranking. I understand you got to do a preseason, but let it go. And the pollsters still cannot figure that out.
Well, Jimmy, they've corrected it now.
It's a week late.
3 of the top 4 preseason teams are out of the top 25 altogether.
Right, but where were they? Where was their win to be?
And Texas, number 9.
LSU's in top 5 because they had a win at Clemson that was supposed to be that very side. But when you beat Long Island, Nevada, Charlie,
Florida International,
Florida International,
and Villanova.
I'm sorry.
Long Island played Florida.
And can you have a Power 4 win? Where was Texas? Where was their Power 4 win?
They still don't have one.
Why? What have they done to earn it? For your preseason ranking, you gotta let it go. And thank God the pollsters don't have any impact in college football and deciding who's the participants in the college football playoff.
Penn State still got to go to Iowa, still got to go to Ohio State, still got to play Indiana. There's a real good chance that they are not going to make the playoffs after being preseason number 2.
Got no room for error. Them and the Irish both. No room for error.
Yeah.
And so that money's down the tubes on Penn State making it to the playoffs. So
Penn State's not going to make the playoffs. Texas might not make the playoffs, and the Ravens might not make the playoffs.
Ravens are still favored to win their division, by the way.
They're in a hell of a hole.
Yes.
We'll get to that later.
Good job, Max.
Yes.
I've jumped on your back on that one. So on the Houston Texans, because that was that. Yes. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060, full service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get when you call 296-0060. From our great staff, our great team: Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Gallardo, Michael Platt, Natalie and Bradford Smith. I saw my buddy Chad Reynolds over at the Federales Fest on Saturday night. Great job, Jay Hover. What an awesome time that was. Again, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Walk-Ons in Brewley. Live at Lincoln College said
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Brewley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Well, Troy, just to let you know, me, Max, and Charlie, who are all here today, have Survivor with a pool. Max's submission this week was the Arizona Cardinals.
Oof.
Troy?
He's not alone. If he's upset that he's out of the Survivor, I saw the Circa results, and I think like 30% of the remaining field was knocked out this weekend because of the amount of upsets that took place. I think I saw there 3 dogs of at least a touchdown that won outright, and then you tack on the Broncos, who were 4.5. It was just a wild weekend of NFL, and not just the results, but how we got there. The DeMarcado fumble at the goal line in the Cardinals Titans game. In the Commanders Chargers games, there were 2 swings of 10 points or more. So it was just absolutely wild. We're now, the teams are comfortable, but this is where teams get a little too comfortable and players start feeling themselves and making bonehead mistakes. You don't really see in the first few weeks just because they're trying to get their sea legs back. But now this is the NFL we come to expect on a week-to-week basis.
Over 60% of the circle field was knocked out this weekend.
There you go, Troy. Over 60% of the field that entered this week, week 5, was knocked out. So, and
yeah, go, Charlie.
Because 66.7% of our entries were knocked out this week. So with the Rams on Thursday,
look at us hitting for par.
Yeah. So but anyway, and Troy, I didn't do it. Max, you saw 45-1.
I saw 45-1 live on the card on the Titans.
Okay, so I can't do it at that point. But what I try to suggest to people is when you see it coming, and when they got the touchdown, they cut it to 2. I got 14-1. I got plus 190 when the Titans have the ball with like 2 minutes to go, and all they need is a field goal. I'm like, and the algorithm is based on that they were, 7.5, 8-point favorites. That's why, the same thing with San Francisco and the Rams. With San Francisco, the punt to the 2-yard line, it wasn't at the very end of the game, but it was tied, and they were still plus 290. My point is, Troy, the live part of this, I think the live betting is added 10 years to my life. So, I mean, it is the therapeutic leg of the option. Some people just don't do it. Some people don't feel comfortable. Some people feel that they covered away. I just don't know how I can do this without having this club in my bag. It's my favorite club.
I would say this. So we took a $100 bet at 55-1 on the Titans, and that is I did a double take when I saw that. Because that, for any live odds in any sport, is, especially a pro sport, is just wild. You certainly rarely see them get up to 51. Super long, usually 35-1, 25-1, something like that. And I think it's cute that live betting has added 10 years to your life, because one of those years, at least, that's been added to yours has been taken away from me, because I love live betting on European soccer matches late in the match. When teams are up 2-0, if there's 10 minutes to go in a game, you should be able to win a game if you're up 2-0. I'll do a long parlay, and my gosh, I get killed every time. However, this weekend on Saturday, and I was texting with Max about this game. I got on UCLA quite early in that game against Penn State and continued to hammer them on the money line until they got to minus money, and it played out, even though Penn State made a little bit of a comeback. But, even early on, I was getting UCLA, when it was 7-up and 450, which is a decent price. Got them 275, 190. So Penn State was live betting on UCLA, which is not something I've been wanting to do this year. It was very successful.
I jumped on it at plus 115, so it was very late, but it just. And I guess that's a good because if you see a game the game that's actually happening is not what was forecasted. Like Charlie said when we were talking about UCLA earlier, this was not a fluke. This is not just lucky bounces and plays, which the Titans needed a couple of those, obviously, along the way. But this game is unfolding. This game is it's just different. If you watch the San Francisco Rams game on Thursday night, that was not the game forecasted. I mean, Mac Jones is playing a completely different level than was expected. I mean, so kind of, I guess that's the big thing, because you can, and like to your 2-0 sort of approach with 10 minutes to go, that's what I got at plus 1,400 yesterday. I'm just going to put a little something on here just in case. So that insurance policy, and some people don't like to do it, Max.
Well, Jimmy, what you also have to think about there with the UCLA-Penn State game, and I thought that was a great shout by Troy on UCLA, is now all of a sudden Penn State's in a trailing game state. This is a different team. Now you're trusting Drew Aller. It's not the running game, and so they had to change. And granted, they did move the ball. They had 30 points in the second half, but it's a different type of team when they're down as opposed to when they were supposed to be 24 and
on the flip side, and there's no doubt, like when you watch Justin Fields try and play quarterback when they're down multiple scores and they throw it, 100%. Now on the flip side, we know how bad we know the Dodgers, but the Yankees bullpen has been rough. Okay, Fried has been outstanding. Fried don't have it. At 5-0, I had to jump in and lay 4.5 runs. I said that they hitting him. What are they going to do to the bullpen? And so, just kind of, I guess it's just a rule of thumb. Whatever way, if the game is completely altered from what was forecasted, I got to believe it was a big weekend for the house yesterday, Troy, with so many of these. With the knockout pools, the survivor pools kind of correlate with knocking out the money line parlays.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty bad weekend for the public. Pretty damn good Sunday for the book. Biggest intake or hold for us this season. I believe it's in the top 3 of the last 3 years, due in large part to Sunday Night Football. 10% of the total Sunday handle was on the Bills minus 7.5 and Bills to win.
Wow.
That and Lions minus 10 was a heavy bet, 5% of the money, but then after that it drops down to 3%. So a lot of money tied up in the Bills, and when they lost, that was I believe that was 7 figures coming back to us. There were certainly some wins in the favor of the public. Like, it wasn't just a bloodbath across the board, but in the big matchups, Philadelphia and Denver as well. That one being very lopsided in the favor of the book. And similar results, honestly, on Saturday as well, because, as I talked, Texas remains a public team, and they're playing Florida, a team that people are fading even more than Texas, so we took a ton of money on Texas. That did not work out well. Obviously, Oregon or Penn State at UCLA was a big loss for the public. So it was a pretty decent weekend for the sportsbook across the board.
Yes, indeed. Troy, what other big takeaways in evaluating from the weekend from the book side that we had this past Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, I think just in the NFL, this is kind of the year where people think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And what the great thing about the NFL is it is week to week. The Falcons lose 31-0 to the Panthers and then blow out the Commanders. The Commanders then go and beat the Chargers, a team everyone's high on. It's so hard to gauge week to week. Even though the Patriots are on the upswing, people, I don't think they played very well last week, and the Bills have been white hot, and it was in an evenly matched division game, so to speak. With 7.5 was a lot at home, and people were writing off the Patriots from the jump. I mean, this was a strongly played game from the public from the start. Obviously, the Cardinals, I don't know why people continue to bet on them. They're very untrustworthy, but the Lions, who after week 1 didn't look too good, they are red hot, and when you're talking about 86% of the tickets on them to cover 10. That is including live bets at the end of the game. That's something you don't see very often in the NFL. So, are people now going to hammer the Bengals and fade the Bengals nonstop?
Yeah,
they're not just going to keel over and die. People were on the Giants this weekend against the Saints. The Giants are an untrustworthy team, but they bought into Jackson Dart after his first game. So it's such week to week, and I think people forget that, and they bet off the back of the last week when we know that is not always going to be the case, where a team plays well one week and then plays well the next week. How often does it happen? Not very.
Troy, how much money swung in what direction on the 2 late touchdowns Saturday? Alabama could have kneeled on the ball. They ran a 4th down play. They scored a touchdown. They cover. And then late that night, TCU could have tried a field goal. Their kicker's been shaky, so they decide to throw one to the end zone on 4th down. They convert, and they cover over Colorado.
And Friday night, BYU covering with less than a minute to go, Troy.
Well, I know for a fact that the Alabama one, it was kind of two-way money on that one. Now, we did take a lot of tickets on Alabama minus 11, but while Alabama minus 11 was the 4th most wagered on play, I think Vanderbilt plus 11.5 was the 6th or 7th most. So that swung a lot. Last year and the year prior, we took a ton of money on Colorado. That is not the case this year. Those games have been slotted way far down in terms of what people are betting on. So I'm not exactly sure how that one impacted. I haven't had a chance to look at that one, but I know that things could have gone in a wildly different direction, in that Alabama-Vanderbilt game, because people are, just like the public is buying in the Vanderbilt, the bettors are as well. Given that it was a pretty long, big spread at 12.5, 11.5, that was the side. If I were to play that game, I would have been on Vanderbilt, and I'd be kicking myself.
There was plenty of kicking themselves on Saturday. We were with some guys. They weren't kicking themselves. It's just brutal beat.
Because everybody's trying to anoint Alabama, and Alabama played well. But when Alabama played well at home in a revenge spot, Vandy has 2 red zone turnovers. 2 red zone turnovers. They were more than competitive.
6-point game out of the fourth quarter.
More than competitive. Yes, indeed. Even with those huge breaks going against them. Troy, where were you looking at for the action tonight before we let you go?
Heavy on the cheap. People not buying the Jaguars. 94% of the money, 89% of the tickets on the cheap, 78% of the spread money, 71% of the spread tickets are on the cheap. All the big bets are on the cheap to win outright. The over-under money is a little bit, closer to even. That's due to a couple big bets on under. But right now, 56% of the money and 80% of the tickets on the over. I say don't count out the Jaguars, but as soon as the Chiefs start playing good football, you think they can continue to play good football because it's in their DNA, and they're getting their horses back, so to speak, from injuries and suspensions. This is a good spot for the Jaguars. I think this will, if they're good this year, they're going to play well tonight, and they're going to prove it. But that remains to be seen. Public, even though the Chiefs looked very mediocre in the first few weeks, public is well back on sides, as you'd expect a team like the Chiefs.
Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's Machir. Good luck to you, Troy. Great stuff as always, and we will talk to you on Friday. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC heating companies since 1980. My buddy Lucas Ragusa, almost called him Lucas Lagusa.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris.
And then, I gotta read. Lucas Ragusa and his great staff over there. He's worked in every different level of this whole operation of an AC and heating company, so he understands what it takes to make a great team and put a great team together, and how to run it as efficiently as possible. Service today, every day. Same-day service means you'll never sleep hot. You call today, you get service today. Something goes down with that AC unit, call my buddy Lucas Ragusa and his staff at Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000.
Live at Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back to our Monday schedule with the Brian Kelly press conference coming your way about 11:40, and then Brian Kelly will be there up at noon all the way until 12:30. We'll come back and wrap up the show. LSU with the weekend off. South Carolina with the weekend off. That game time announced 6:45 Saturday.
Back-to-back weeks, LSU takes on a team that is all coming off a bye, huh? Vandy will have a bye this week.
Vandy does have a bye this week, and
a Vandy game. The Vandy's good, man. Vandy, I don't. It's not the cute story. I think they have, they've gotten some administrative support and some booster support, and they got it. I think that after even Diego's gone, I think the old Vandy pushover where they can't compete, that might be a thing of the past.
Diego has been a program changer. Can you build on that? Can you build on that?
They're doing the things administratively in all areas that gives them a chance.
Live at Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch. Live
at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
It's Sarah and the Sun trying to peek through here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. Restaurant's now open. Come by and see us for lunch. Always a great place to watch the games here at Walk-Ons. One of the best beer selections you're going to see anywhere in the area. Over 4 dozen brews on tap, including the seasonal brews that they bring in. Change them out. So if you want one of your old favorites, you can get that. If you want something new, they'll always have that for you here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. We're in the front part of the restaurant right here. The windows are down, but a lot of times when the weather is good, especially as we're in October, you come in here and you kind of feel like you're outside, even though you're inside. Florida Gators with the other big upset of the weekend, not from a point spread standpoint, nothing close to what Penn State and UCLA was, but Texas, awful lot of support. You can question why. That's completely fair, based on who they had beaten and who they had played. But the Florida Gators looked pretty doggone stout on Saturday, getting the win 29-21. Jimmy, I'm going to let you, you told me before the show, you said you find yourself in a unusual situation, which is...
Well, I'm going to start with
to defend
with
Arch
Billy,
Manning.
okay? I mean, Napier, I thought he had one of these or two of these left. And, he was given, you were looking at, what game was it, Charlie? At home, not on the road, where you're saying, well, he might be fired and stuff like that going into the bye week. Yeah.
Miami.
And, the common denominator, the four coaches that were fired earlier were at home. It was embarrassing losses. And so now they get housed here, then they're leaving at the end of the second quarter and something like that. Well, maybe so. But immediately, and I don't know which quarterback I was more surprised with how good they played. Now, Lagway never wants to run, all right? He's just not a runner. He might be capable of running, but he's not a runner. Nico is. But Lagway, I respect the Texas defense going into this one better than I did Penn State's defense. And I think Penn State's defense is pretty good, but I think Texas, they were in my top three as conversation. It might be in the best in the country. That's clearly Ohio State, to this point. And they never stopped moving the ball. I mean, from jump, they just continue to methodically move through them. And Lagway looked so good. It did help that he got their big recruit, the star of the spring game / spring, their true freshman.
Dallas Wilson,
who had 2 touchdown passes. Credit to Matt Humans with that angle on Thursday, picking Florida. But, Charlie, part of this is, everybody, Arch Manning's crap. I mean, what start is this for him? 6, 7?
7.
I mean, and we're ready to. Way too much unknown. Can we see him play? Past the 2A level of high school football? I mean, can we see some of that before they've taken their time? I think he's going to be fine in the end, but it's going to take some time. He might not be truly special where. Like his uncle was thrown in there because they're injured in their season opener at the Rose Bowl against a pretty good UCLA team, and he kind of hit the ground running. That first start against Alabama, they lost for Peyton, but he was not the problem. He was, making them competitive, right? And he looks unsettled. But this is a team game. Is a rushing game a quarterback's best friend? How's a rushing game?
Well, he had 11 carries for 15 yards outside of his rushes on Saturday.
That's not good. And when Drew Aller and Arch Manning are your leading rushers, that's a problem. Now, their defense was pretty good. The team was pretty good. But the schedule's tougher. They didn't have this game last year. They didn't have to go to Georgia last year. They didn't have to go to Ohio State last year. I mean, so the schedule was a joke a year ago. And, I mean, can we beat somebody before we look at a team and give them number one? Can we give them preseason ranking? I'll get you. But how in the hell are they still in the top 10 when they have no wins? Sam Houston State's about as bad as it gets. And an FCS
they are.
team.
I saw that
They're
the
about
other
as
night.
bad as they get. Housed by New Mexico State.
Yeah.
All right, so he doesn't. How much of a chance does he have? But he's got to give himself a chance, and he can't just. Him and Aller are running way too much. Aller's got way more starts. But both of these guys are pocket passers and should not be given up on the routes that quickly. But he's getting Florida hit him, but Florida's got it back. That 13 ball, he can tote it, baby.
And they kept after it. He never ripped off a long. I think his longest run of the day was 15 yards. But they just kept hammering away.
Charlie, his yards he got every yard of good back. He got
no, he did.
But some backs on his 4-yard carries, backs were getting 0 or 1.
Right, and 4 yards at a time. They kept hammering away at it. And I'm happy that you're talking about Manning and Allard too, but mostly Manning, that you're talking about the football part because, frankly, from the national media, I'm tired of hearing about, well, what about all this hype? What about all this hype? You guys did the hype.
That's right. That's
you
right.
Guys,
Manning didn't do it. Now, look, he might want to take just a step back on the commercials. I mean, he's done
a couple, but the optics of it, I get it.
But he did none of this.
No,
Allard did. Allard didn't tell me put me number 1 in your draft board.
No, you know what it reminds me of, and you'll remember this. When Beano Cook says Ron Paulus is going to win the Heisman twice, and he had to wear that for 4 years, and it was not his fault. Right. He didn't say that. He didn't embrace that, but he was saddled with it.
Charlie, this just in. You surprised we getting hype out of the man?
No, of course not. Okay. Of course not. But like I said, I'm glad you're talking about the football because if
it's got nothing to do with that. And I'm their least fan.
Right.
Okay, but it's not killing Peyton. It's killing he's God's gift to quarterback and things like this. Yeah. I mean, no, man, let him accomplish something. Let him accomplish something. Let me do something in a big spot before we just anoint people. It's just a premature in the quarterback position more than any. And Lagway, how many starts is that for him? He's got about 10? About 5 last year?
4.
Yeah, so this is 9. This is 9.
That open week, did he not get in some much-needed reps?
Yes.
Did he did he looked like Nico got different coaching, okay? Lagway got more reps where he didn't, he never had an off season in a camp really. I would say the same thing. You saw dividends.
Yeah, these two guys, we said this, they need to play football. They just need to play a lot of football.
And Manning needs to play football, but he's in some habits right now. He's not doing anything to help his development. That's where I am.
The mechanics look fouled up, but it's amazing with all of the coaching that he's had that there's still some bad habits there, but he hasn't played. It's practice habits. You're right, he hasn't played. If I looked at him and his name was Joe Smith, I'd be like, okay, he's a nice-looking prospect. He's developmental, but I don't see my goodness, this guy's a can't-miss first pick in the draft, future Hall of Famer. I don't see that, okay? I see a nice developmental quarterback, and he's just never going to be allowed to do that because it's a blessing and a curse. I get it.
Him and Allard are the same guy right now. And I do think that Allard, the problem is Allard's still there. He's okay. He's okay. He's nothing special. But he's had enough time to give up on his routes. Manning's just starting. Yeah. He's just starting. And but he's not developing. And it's easy to look good against Manning bounced back today. Against who? It's just so extreme with this guy week to week. And he's just kind of like Alabama, Charlie, with their team. Well, everybody's not. No, they got to play well to win. They got to play good to win, even at home against mid teams in the league. And Vandy's a mid team in the league right now. All right, but it's the overreaction to. I mean, Manning's just another guy that's got a prospect that has a chance. And the same thing with some of these teams. And that's the great thing about college football. You can't go play sloppy like some of those Alabama teams under Saban, and it doesn't matter because you're so physically superior, especially up front, that it helps. The teams that are physically superior as it gets, there's 3 to me right now.
Physically superior teams.
Where they don't have to be, to me, that... And I mean, I'll give you a 4th. I'm going to give you a 4th.
Okay. I would say Ohio State.
Yes.
I like Oregon an awful lot.
Miami.
That was my 4th. I had it. Miami's without a doubt.
And we just talked about in the break, Texas Tech.
Yes.
Yeah. Texas Tech.
Yes.
I'm with you.
They're built. We were, but everybody was talking about the skill guy. We're talking about the quarterback. We're talking about Nussmeier. Some people don't want him. I mean, it is just, it's been around for a long time. The coach and the quarterback get way too much credit, get way too much blame. But when you're built up front, like those 4, those things are going to work out. We thought Penn State was built like that, right?
Yeah.
We thought Clemson was built like that. They're not. They're not.
A&M might be close.
Because I don't A&M has a chance. I'm still trying to get past giving up 45 to Notre Dame.
Fair.
Okay?
Fair.
But what did they make an adjustment? And how they do it? You didn't know? The coach took over the defense 2 weeks ago.
Elko. Yeah.
Okay? How they done in 2 weeks?
Well,
Their opponents are
19 points.
Their opponents are 1-24 on third down.
State could not move the ball.
1-24 on third down. 1 for 10 this week, 0 for 13 last week.
So
he's putting them in the right place.
The defense is better, and Reed hasn't been quite as good in the last 2 weeks as he was in the first three.
He had a rough first half. He got a little bit. He was terrible in the first half. Yeah.
I had somebody ask me on Twitter today if I had seen, since covering the league,
he's a young quarterback,
this kind of balance, and I said, not at the top, because there's always been, since I've been covering the league, there's always been that one alpha dog up at the top. I came in the league. I came in the job when Spurrier was in his prime, right there entering his prime, and then Saban, and then Urban Meyer, and then Kirby Smart, and you throw in LSU's championship years and Auburn's championship year in the year they made the finals, and there's always been that one alpha dog up in the front. It seems like pretty much every year, and I don't see that. The highest-ranked team in the league right now is Ole Miss, followed by A&M and Oklahoma, and I don't think any of those teams are anything close to unbeatable. There were so many years where I was like, man, nobody's going to beat Georgia, nobody's going to beat Alabama, nobody's going to beat this Tim Tebow Florida team, and I don't see that this year. I don't see anything close to that this year. If the league champion ends up with 2 losses, it's not going to surprise me at all.
We didn't have that last year either.
Well, I thought most of the year, though, that up until the end, that Georgia was. I was wrong, okay? But
Did you see them in Oxford last year?
That's what I'm saying.
Not a typical.
That was later in the year. When they came out and blew the doors off of Clemson in the first week, I thought Georgia was really good.
This
part of the year, I thought Georgia was really good.
Looking back on Georgia's team last year, and I know they lost their quarterback, okay, in the conference championship game. I get that, but that is not the teams you're talking about.
No.
So we had this last year too.
Yes,
we had this last year too,
but not this early. In September, I thought Georgia was really good.
I think we have more teams that are. It's deeper. We had 3 teams that were this close with 3 losses that didn't get into the playoff.
Yeah,
you have more of those teams this year.
Oh, sure,
at least double.
If you had to make a college football playoff today, you'd probably have 5 SEC teams in it, and I don't think there's going to be 5 at the end of the year.
And last year, Texas was a product of their schedule. I mean, what was it? What was their best win?
Oh gosh, I'll get back to you, Gene. I got to remember.
So their best win, you know what it was? Including what's the Clemson playoff game?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the regular season.
But I mean, that's their best win, Clemson? What do we think of them?
I think some people need to apologize to Quinn Ewers. People were clamoring for him to get benched all year, that he wasn't good enough. And, the grass is always greener.
100%.
I get Manning was a big part of it, but Ewers was fine. Ewers was very serviceable in that offense.
Ewers, and let me say this about me. His protection, they thought they had enough in place. They got an injury in their August camp. They did not go in the portal to try and supplement it. All right? So they were I was a little surprised. The defense was loaded, but their offensive line and in their running game, they're having protect. I think this lack of protection and lack of running game, Charlie, has contributed to Manning breaking down in his fundamentals, in his mechanics. That's where in his decision of being rushed into a runner, as opposed to just being more committed to the pop.
Texas's best win last year might have been A&M in the regular
season.
There you go. They were 8-4.
I would say Clemson. They got a little bit more juice.
In the playoff. I'm talking about in the regular season. Texas A&M.
You watched Clemson?
I did.
And they should be better than paper this year, right? We watched Clemson.
I watched the whole Clemson game, their opener. I watched it very closely.
I watched it Saturday.
Watched it more than once. Oh, yeah, against Belichick. Ooh.
I mean, Ludacris had to play a brunch concert, to get his in. I mean,
That was ugly. We're brought to you by the Thibodeau store and the Pierre Part store and the newest additions to the family, the LaRose store and the Lockport store. Listen, for your outdoor – this is the prime tailgating weather. This is the prime tailgating month
great was the
of
weather
the
this
season.
weekend?
It was, and it's hopefully going to continue. This is your prime tailgating weather. So if you're getting your outdoor kitchen, your tailgating gear, get it at these stores. Thibodeau store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, and the Pierre Part store, Highway 70 in Pierre Part. Jimmy, you made the trip, and you have collected the gear.
It is, man. And when I went down, Saturday night, man, had the green egg on and did the Chris's specialty meats. I had the bacon-wrapped jalapeno cream cheese stuffed chicken thighs, boneless chicken thighs. I did some duck, cut up the duck after, and did duck nachos, Charlie. That's my thing right now. But duck nachos.
Duck nachos?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it all got the electric coal starter with my green egg charcoal because they crackle a lot less than the store-bought. And so you start it up and it takes it. I mean, real char grill, the green egg. I mean, it makes it, foolproof as far as grilling. And get all that, my extra cool brush, my wires, my gloves, this and that, all tongs, everything you need for outdoor cooking, your backdoor, your outdoor kitchen, or on site for tailgating season. Now that the weather's going to be more cooperative and be more enjoyable, it's at the Thibodeau store, the Pierre Port store, the Lockport store, the LaRose store. I mean, how many stamp stores?
You got them all. We got four.
Stores?
We got four. But that is the empire.
Shoot them, Troy. I mean, how many do they have?
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Live at
Still Taylor, Zach.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Also brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff. Man, when you're hurting and you just need some relief, let them help you out with an adjustment, with a program that will target your problem areas, get you to feeling better. They've helped out members of our family, including myself, over the years. So let them get you into a program that makes sense for you. Maybe you need a dry needle or electric nerve stimulation, cryo or ultrasound therapy. Anything that's going to get you to feeling a little bit better, they can help you out. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. A lot of people think Miami may be the best team in the country right now. They certainly put a stamp on the game with Florida State on Saturday night. Don't let the final score mislead you, the 28-22. This was not that close. Miami stomped a mud hole in them for 3 quarters, and Florida State made it look good. As a matter of fact, Jimmy, the last play that they ran from scrimmage, Florida State, where they get the tight end, there's a couple of missed tackles. I thought for just a brief second that he was going to get loose and get in the end zone, and Florida State was going to cover in the back door, but that's all it would have been. Miami was in control of this game for 3 quarters, and their people up front on both sides of the ball. We talked about that briefly. If Carson Beck's going to go throw 4 touchdown passes on the road against a ranked team, Miami's going to be hard to beat.
Carson Beck doesn't have to be great for this team to have success.
So if he is,
and that's just a luxury. You thought he was great?
No, I just thought he threw 4 touchdown passes. I thought
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. And you know what? He's got a running game. He's got offensive line. He's got a good supporting cast. He should be good, but and Ward had to carry the team last year. There was no room for error for Cam Ward. I mean, they couldn't stop anybody. Really couldn't. It wasn't as good of a running game. They're built up front, man, to have some great success. And if he continues to, play well, and he should. I mean, there's a lot of things in place, makes it quarterback friendly, and he's got some experience under his belt. Maybe eternally, maybe he has matured a little bit because he certainly was not handling himself. And look, these guys, these college players that are getting all these luxuries now and not handling it the best, I give him a little bit of a pass. But just
I would have taken a Lamborghini.
We were in Beau Rivage when he went down and Stockton came in with some Georgia fans. Were they upset? Not at all.
Not really.
Not at all, okay? And so Stockton is more the guy that he drives his pickup truck. to practice and things like that. And he's going to run. He loves to run and lower his shoulder and stuff like that. But Becca's got an NFL arm, Charlie. I mean, he's got some, but it's the defense is way better than what it's last year, and up front offensively as well. Starts there, and man, Miami's got it. This was not nearly as close as the final score. Not even close. That's window dressing at the end.
Yeah, I hate it when people do this. I try not to do it too much, but I have a hard time laying off now, which is to try to predict the rest of the schedule. But, man, I got a hard time seeing who's going to beat them. Their toughest game the rest of the way is at SMU, which I think is a winnable game for them.
Not the team they had last year.
No, I think that's a winnable game for Miami. Louisville, Stanford, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt. I mean, it's just very difficult.
Pitt is the one, November 29th, in cold. It's going to be cold in Pittsburgh at that time. They go up there. It could be a little tricky.
And if they're 11-0, they'll have a spot wrapped up.
You're finishing my sentences for me, sir.
Thank you, sweetie. It's very difficult to see a scenario where Miami is not in the playoffs.
They have some cushion built up, and they smacked around Notre Dame pretty good. They caught him at a good time. C.J. Carr's first road start in a hostile environment. This surprised me. Florida State was one of my picks. Florida State, this is the game they were looking forward to when they would look past Virginia and Charlottesville. But they're going to be ready. It's very rare in this series, historically, last 40 years or so since they've been good, and they both went through little dips. I get that, but very rarely you go on a road and handle the opponent like that at their place.
Yeah,
it's very 28-3 in the fourth quarter. This thing was much worse than I thought it would be.
I'm not always clamoring for rematches, but I could watch Miami and Notre Dame again. In December, that would be a much more interesting game.
Here's the problem. Notre Dame can't stop Miami.
Right.
Miami, he said, that would be strength against her. Miami get stops against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to score on Miami, too. But Miami's going to get some stuff. I can't see that Notre Dame defense getting stops against Miami.
Fair enough, but it was a 3-point game in Miami, and it was Carr's first start. He's going to be better in December. He's already better than he was in.
He got tied. They had to walk off. No, that thing was tied. They had to get a long field goal to win it. So, point well taken.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's not overreact to those first weeks. So.
Well, but what fun would that be? I mean, in that what we did.
But it's the sport in evaluating, and this is why we have 12 games, Charlie.
Yeah.
So we don't have a baseball schedule. We don't have when you have such a low pile of games, and how many games are garbage? Like Penn State, how do we know? How do we know if they're worth a damn or not? Because, you can't play teams like that and us offer opinions. The only thing I saw was the yards aren't as easy as they should be against Nevada.
I'll give you credit on Penn State. You were ready to sell me your Penn State playoff ticket after week 2.
After those. We can't overreact to ugly offensive football. We can overreact to some bad defenses in the first week. We can't overreact to rent wins, but can we give a little bit of concern to struggles? And you see the final score. No. Those games were not these big chunk plays, left and right. Don't forget our friends at Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. You get in an accident, they're going to handle everything for you. So just like I did, girl pulls in front of me, totals my car. What am I going to do? Oh, man, it's a pain. I got to get a rental car. I got to get doctor's appointments. Man, my head is hurt. I can't. All of this stuff, he's going to handle all of this. Especially, the best thing is negotiating with the insurance companies as well. You want to be Lamar Jackson, negotiate your own contract? That's fine. But anyway, Jerry Jones might not sign you, but Dana Brown will. Dana Brown, he's no Jerry Jones. 343-1111 at ocbrown.com.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
A few minutes from now, we'll send you to the Brian Kelly press conference. Gordy and Chris will be up first, and then we'll have Brian Kelly about noon. South Carolina will be the opponent, 6:45 at Tiger Stadium. South Carolina comes in 3-2. beat Virginia Tech to open the season in the Kickoff Classic in Atlanta. They had a win against South Carolina State, where they really didn't play all that well, but they won. They lose the Vandy game big at home. Lenore Sellers, their star quarterback, was off to a good start in that game and got knocked out.
Great start in that game.
Yeah,
great start.
6 for his first 7 for 94 yards, and then got knocked out. The game got away from South Carolina. Vandy ended up winning 31-7.
No way to prove it, but it sure looked like it deflated the whole damn roster.
Oh, of course, how could it not?
Okay,
yeah,
I mean, it just did.
You know what the game might have looked like had he stayed in? It might have looked like their next game, which was at Missouri, which ended up 29-20, and Sellers had by far his best game of the year. He threw for over 300 yards in that game, and right at 11 yards an attempt, and didn't turn the ball over in that game, and that was despite being sacked 5 times. Then he came back. They controlled the game against Kentucky. He really didn't have to do a whole lot. They had a big lead early. They kind of sat on it.
Threw the ball well, though.
Yeah,
threw the ball well.
Limited attempts, but yeah.
Well, they shut it down with the lead.
They had a big lead.
4 turnovers for Kentucky in that game. But Sellers, this is translating to the regular season, our expectations, our predictions, the forecast for South Carolina. He's going to have to take that next step because they lose a lot, and South Carolina is not in the business of replacing that much that they lost on the defensive side of the ball. That kept him in the games. That put less pressure on him to force things, and he could grow at a nice, comfortable pace. This year, way less of a supporting cast, especially defensively. He's going to have to pick him up and carry him on their shoulder. He struggled early, but he really got going pretty good against Vandy, and then he did what he was supposed to do against Kentucky. He is a load to deal with as a runner, but he's showing some signs that he might be ready to develop as a passer.
I really like him. I think that if the draft were today, I think he'd be the number 1 pick. He's approaching that 20 starts now that you got. He started 12 games a year ago. He started the 5 games this year. So he's getting into that range where you've got enough film on him. I think he's been good. I think the upside, I see him. I hate to get, wowed by the physical and not, take everything into account, but I see some wild throws. I see a very
wild, did you say?
No, I see some wow throws. There was a throw he made on 3rd and 37 against Kentucky.
No, it's against Missouri.
No, I'm sorry, against Missouri. Where he's rolling to his left and he throws an absolute laser beam 34 yards down the field.
But that's the problem with those aren't going to happen over the course of the game.
But if he can do that.
I know, well, so could your boy from Florida. Okay? So he's one of the few guys who could do that. By the way, man, it went a while, so it means he's completing passes himself.
No, that was really good. It means you got it knocked down.
So, but the thing is, Charlie, it's the other things, the everyday things. And, against Virginia Tech, he threw some really ugly balls. I want to see just the normal thing. Vanderbilt, he was really good. Missouri, he was better. Kentucky, he's showing some signs because the first game, that was some of the worst passes, ugliest. That's why I said wild. I didn't know if you're ugliest. He's kind of cleaning those up a little bit. And sometimes when you're injured, kind of calms you down in that pocket.
It can.
It kind of calms you down. And, so.
What I liked about the Virginia Tech, in the very first drive, they got him on the move. It was some easy little dump passes and things like that, and then they opened it up. And in the middle of the game, you're right, he got sloppy, and then they picked it up at the end. They ended up winning the game against what's not a great Virginia Tech team. I think he's gotten better since the last time I saw him. I thought in this game last year, if he had played in the second half, South Carolina probably would have beaten LSU. I think he's really strong talent.
His first year started, you would talk about the roller coaster ride, your good days and your bad days for a quarterback with so much ability like him. He was having a day.
He was, and he went in to try to start the second half. He couldn't go.
I mean,
and LSU, he was hurt, and LSU got loose.
I didn't realize he was that big. I mean, it was a Cam Newton type of running headache.
Getting off the bus, he looks like Cam Newton.
That LSU was having to deal with. Oh no, he's Richardson in that. He's Richardson who's showing some signs in year 2 as a full-time starter. Richardson didn't have that, but he's so close. And I could see in the wow. Well, those guys could do some wow. I mean, Richardson as a passer and still got drafted top 5.
Right.
Okay,
and I think
so.
he's much
So this
better
guy
than
might
Richardson
this
was.
guy might be the might be that guy. And if he continues with low consistency with his arm, he is going to be hard to pass up at number one.
Yeah, I agree. And he's never had that disaster game where he's never thrown more than one interception in a game. So he hasn't let the mistakes compound on him. He's still a work in progress, but like I said, he's approaching that 20th start. I think he's just going to get better and better. He's a problem. I don't know if South Carolina's got enough the rest of the way, but he's a problem.
Well, your offense, he could light up you. That's going to be fun. LSU's defense is really good.
Yep.
That's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be fun.
Take it to BK. We're here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. Come on by and see us for lunch here right on Highway 1. Biggest selection of draft beer in the area, over 4 dozen brews that are on tap here at Walk-Ons. We'll take you to the press conference, and we're back on the other side to wrap things up here live at lunch from Walk-Ons in Bruley.
On 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we return here at the Bruley Walk-Ons. Glad to have you with us today for live.
How was your lunch?
Yeah, my lunch was really good. I had the Cajun Diaz, one of the.
It's kind of one of your studies.
Yeah, it's a specialty. It's got a little star bite on the menu.
Okay.
So if you got a star bite on the menu, I figure it's something
What
I ought
does
to
the
order.
star indicate?
That it's good.
It's fit for Charlie. That's what it means.
Right. What'd you have, Phil?
Turkey burger.
Turkey burger.
good.
I've had that too.
Yes,
pretty
indeed.
good. Max?
Catfish Orleans.
Catfish.
Oh, very good. Blackened catfish with the fried shrimp on top. Very good.
Come on by and see us here at Walk-Ons any day for lunch or to get a cold beer. One of the best selections of beer anywhere here on the west side. Over 4 dozen on tap here at Walk-Ons in Bruley.
That's
All right.
another thing. It's just some places don't have the beer is not always cold. No problem.
Yeah, we
No
got
problem.
a lot of selection, and it's all at the right temperature. So not a ton of what you would call hard news out of this thing. You don't expect that coming out of an off week. The health report is pretty good. Nussmeier, Davis, Anderson, Mubenga. I would say all of that. He sounded optimistic on all of that. It does leave him with a choice at right tackle, and certainly the way he phrased it indicated that Weston Davis would go back into the starting lineup, and he says we have options with Carius Kern to play him at guard or tackle. I think we're rapidly approaching the point, if we, if we're not there already, that Kern is pretty close to being one of their best 5 offensive linemen. I think he's certainly one of their most aggressive offensive linemen. He's got some work to do. He's not a finished product, but his aggressiveness, his tenacity, meanness, if you want to use that word, is something that they could use. So we'll see how much he, works in there. He did say this about Nussmeier. He says, first of all, he worked most of the week. He did not throw the ball as much. He said, got him throwing with a towel, but he went through the rest of the stuff, went through the drills, went through the VR work, all that stuff. He said, whatever your narrative is on the quarterback right now, so be it. You are what he used the word deserve. He said, you get what you deserve there. He says, but, a lot of it is out in the front. I think that's fair. I think you can have a lot of different narratives on Nussmeier right now, Jimmy. I Lord knows in the week off we spent most of the weekend in the sports book. Nobody's without an opinion on Nussmeier right now. So, like I said, whatever it is, my narrative on him right now is through 5 games, I've seen him make some good plays, and I've seen him make some really foolish plays that I don't expect out of a senior quarterback. I think he was, at least from the Louisiana Tech game to before the Southeastern game, in some way compromised. I'm not saying he was injured, that he needed surgery, but I think he was hurting. And then in the Ole Miss game, I couldn't tell all the time. I thought it changed. We went through this last week, but I'll repeat it again. The throws to Thomas, the throws to Hilton, at least one other throw that was not made to Thomas were throws that I expect him to be able to make that he didn't. On the other hand, I saw him make a pass to Barry and Brown that I don't trust very many quarterbacks to make, to fit it into a very small window and with a great degree of velocity. So my narrative on Garrett Nussmeier going into this thing right now is I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to get from him from a physical standpoint or a mental standpoint right now. I've seen a decent amount. I've seen a decent sample size of both in the first 5 games.
Well, when you see a quarterback getting pressured, you kind of understand. Okay, well he had to get rid of it. I mean, there was a game yesterday. Why did he make that throw? Charlie, these guys are about to knock the crap out of him. I mean, it affects a quarterback. And then you see some plays where, wait a minute, he's got protection. He doesn't. Well, when you get hit or you're pressured and you just turn it off, it has a residual effect sometimes. You're anticipating getting hit or moved and stuff. And so even when you have time, it affects the times when when being hit and being pressured has that. And is he a little bit physically compromised? I think that's fair to say, but not enough to making a lot of the differences. Does he have some protection and he's missing throws? At times, very few, but some. But to me, it's all about you get limited protection and you against 3-man front, and it just the protection is an issue. I thought they did a good job of anticipating protection issues against, at that time, a respected front in Clemson. So what did they do? They didn't throw the ball downfield much. They picked their spot in the Brown. It was a great throw, great catch. The refs took it away. But, man, he got the ball out quick, and he was asking less of his offensive line with their protection. From game 1 to game 5, you should progress, and that's the unit I think that usually gains the most progress on the college football team. From game 1 to game 5, it hadn't gotten one bit better. Then the bye week, what do? They found some stuff, like you said. Let's see this guy's got some nastiness. We need to get him more reps. Whatever, committed to the running game, but you talked about that. But to me, it's about this is a team sport. You look better when you're surrounded by really talented players. He's got talented, skilled wideout guys, and those guys have caught the ball, have they not? For the most part this season,
yeah.
We don't see a ton of drops.
No,
we see some explosive elements. They got playmakers, and they're catching the ball. It's about the offensive line, and when he's getting moved and he's getting thrown off of his comfort zone, and still having to throw into 8-man coverages, that is by far the biggest excuse or reason that everybody's looking for when when the quarterback. And the quarterback gets way too much credit, gets way too much blame. Did he play any worse against Ole Miss than he did against Florida? Not really. Not in my. You really lacked you got 10 first downs. You didn't exactly but they won. They won.
Yeah.
A lot of Les Miles.
They caused 5 turnovers on the other side.
But did he play any better? Did you hear as much of the criticism on Garrett Nussmeier after the Florida game that you did after the Ole Miss?
No, you didn't. The one play I was going through in my head was the interception when they're in Ole Miss territory, which is, in my opinion, his second worst throw of the year. That he didn't make that play in the Florida game. He didn't make that kind of mistake in the Florida game, and that was a whopper.
He didn't throw a pick in a Florida game.
Not that bad.
He threw a pick. Did he throw a pick
at all in the Florida game, Max? I don't remember if he did. But he didn't make that kind of decision.
To counter myself.
Yes, threw across his body.
Yeah, that's right.
Ridiculously, yes.
That was every bit. That was yes. That's what Kelly killed him.
That's right. I'm thinking that was the Louisiana Tech game.
When Kelly killed him on the sideline.
Then yes,
so
those are the 2 worst throws of the year.
The one difference they had, playing home, playing away, but that kind of neutralized. Florida's way better defensively than Ole Miss.
Yes.
Okay, but he didn't play any better against Florida than he did against Ole Miss. But so everybody, yes. Well, I mean, you can't get the people they love their team, man. And this has gone on forever that the quarterback gets way too much blame and too much error. That's the funny thing when we're talking about Miami right now is they don't need. How many of those Miami teams did the quarterback carry them? The great ones.
They had some great quarterbacks, but the defense and some Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Vinny, until the Fiesta Bowl, had a great year. Vinny had a great year.
they didn't need
No.
Okay,
Craig
now,
Erickson and
now that
Steve
we're
Walsh
talking,
were a lot more
everybody
common.
wants to. How long are we talking about? Is you back? Is you back? Is you back? Well, guess what? Their line of scrimmage is back.
Yeah.
They're back,
and they always hit skill guys.
My
Good Lord.
point is dude, until you give some protection against a three-man front when they're covering 8, I don't care who you are. You tell me another quarterback in the country that's going to have success against that. I just don't see it.
You know who else said that this weekend? Kurt Warner. He says the absolute toughest thing for a guy to do is to deal with when you drop 8 for a quarterback. He said because you take away all the checkdowns, and he says it's just very difficult to operate against. So those were his words. I want to say one more thing about this because this has gotten an awful lot of steam about what about Nussmeier, what about Kelly, what about the OCA. You're 5 games in to what is a wide open race for the league, wide open race for the playoff, wide open, and you got more than half a season left. You have put an enormous amount of investment into this quarterback, into this OC, into this coaching staff as a whole, and into most of these players. There are a few personnel changes that I think you might be able to make. I mentioned one with Kern. But at this point, if you go wholesale anything, I don't see it. I'm not at that. I think it's crazy. I do too.
That is crazy.
That's what I think. It's the equivalent of having done all of your research and invested all of your money into a stock, and the first time it dips, and this was the first time it dipped in this season. I realize it hasn't been perfect. You sell it off. Okay, well, you haven't given the thing a chance to mature. You got to give this a chance. It may not work out. I'm not saying it's going to work out, but you have to.
The offensive line is it only has so high of a ceiling. But if they could be adequate, then this guy was. I'm sorry, Garrett Nussmeier's good. He's good. Okay, he can make throws that a lot of people can't make. Have we seen a lot of those this year? He talked about Kelly. Said we're 1 for 7 on downfield passes. Okay, well that's not just Nussmeier. I mean, it's a product of getting hit and being maybe a little bit injured, whatever. But they could be adequate, Charlie. And your running game should get better if it's a lot to. Are you thin? There, yes. And if you have an injury, it's going to be a dip. But Durham's so much their best running back right now. It's not close, and that's going to affect it like it is. But you can't have teams cheating the way they were against you and just daring you to run and things like that. And you just have had so little success that you're not even doing it. So, but he is 100% right. This whole season, you're in actually better shape than what you thought for at this point in the season, win-loss record, and everything that's happening around the country. That you're ahead of schedule to make the playoff. Now, can you make the playoff if you're still allowing teams to cheat on you? No, that's not going to happen. I think that's where people's concern is. But no, everything's in front of LSU.
And to make your point before everybody goes crazy, you've been an underdog in 2 games. You won one of those games. Now, has the script flipped on some of the games later in the schedule that you thought you might be favored in that now you're not? Did you think you would be favored in a game, say, against Oklahoma? I don't know how how you can make that call, 3 months ahead of time.
Now?
It was about a pick 'em preseason, I think.
Okay.
Preseason.
All right. So maybe you're
not anymore.
Maybe your thought on Oklahoma
that's
has
with
changed.
Mateer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe your thoughts on exactly what A&M would have looked like before the season and what they look
you'd
like
be a
now.
lower underdog. I'm slower favorite, but still be favorite right now.
Still be favorite. Okay. Yeah. So you are a little bit ahead of what the odds makers thought you'd be, and that's not gospel either. But it's a barometer that we use. You got to take your investment in this, and you got to go forward with it. And the running game, I liked his comment there. He said, look, they give us fair numbers. We got to take advantage of it. You had better than fair numbers. You had an advantage. It's why it drove me crazy after that game. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't care if you're down to a walk-on running back. If they give you 3 against 5 or 6, you have to run the football. I don't care if Nussmeier's got to do it himself.
Charlie, if you're third and 8 or more, though, that's tough, so you got to try and that's a lot of the running plays didn't result in anything either. I mean, the running back carries were not exactly.
And I think you have to keep after that. You want to get them out of the 8-man drop. Run the football. That's the easiest way.
I get, but you got to have some production to get it out. I mean, when you just ran the ball, say, kind of traditional running plays, handed off, there wasn't a ton of production there. The few times you did. Yes, they got away with it. Yes, they have to do more.
Yeah.
Yes, but the offensive line when you do it, you got to win when you got that type of numbers. You got to protect when you got 5 blocking 3. You got to protect.
Yes,
okay.
The line's got to play better.
It's
fashionable to kill Joe Sloan, and I don't think he's done a great job.
Max,
but if you don't have a quarterback to throw the ball down the field, you don't have an offensive line that can block, you're kind of limited.
Max, all the conversation, Kelly's right about that. He's touche as far as, because he's saying the same thing we talked about as far as everybody's early judgment and overreaction to one thing that's done and not. Remember when leaving walk-ons, you said, damn, is this season all on this offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we thought before the season, right?
That's what I'm saying. You said you were walking the equipment back to the car, and you say, is it that? Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's, because everything else is in place. They hit. The guys they brought in on defense, are they playing?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But the guys they brought in on the offensive line, are they playing?
They're playing. I don't know. Moore, I think, has been okay. Mm-hmm. Thompson is, no, I'm sorry. Thompson hasn't been great. No. Moore has been okay. How many you look individually, I look as a unit, and they're just. As a unit, they've been bad.
And I want to say, I say that the approach has been more successful to go get guys that have played before to come in 1 year and be an offensive lineman.
It is.
That approach has been more successful.
Well, I think Moore's been the best one. If that ends.
What's that?
I think Moore has been the best one of the 5. To your point, yeah.
I'm saying they went and addressed. Texas didn't do that this year, and so but LSU did, and that's more than just bringing you younger guys. It's their turn to start with no experience. They're going out and got guys who've been in the minors a little bit and bringing them over, and that it just hasn't worked out. You misevaluated. You're not coaching them. You're not putting them in a better situation. You're not asking less of them. Who cursed the offensive line after the Clemson game?
Nobody. We thought they were better than.
But they had a distinct approach to help them in that game.
Get the ball out quick.
They had a distinct approach. Now, you got a counter now because the blueprint's out. And you're going to see some Ole Miss stuff until you make them pay, whether it's with the running game or whether it's quicker, whatever it is. So you got to.
Because they did get the ball out quick a lot against Ole Miss. They just didn't get a whole lot of yards out of it. Those long runs, those passes to the outside that end up being long runs. They made some yards out of it.
Kelly did say they thought the offense played fine in the second half. The last drive was fine. Did they?
I thought he was talking more about the defense. He said we held them to 7 points.
No, he said offense played better in the second half. I made a face when he said that. I didn't agree with that either, but that's what he said. He did say that. I don't think we're taking that out of context.
Okay, well, then no. I disagree.
I mean, besides the last drive was fine.
Yeah.
Last drive was touchdown. But was I missing something?
He mentioned post-game in the locker room that about complete game and the defense kind of faded in the second half. Well, they were on the field the whole game.
Oh, man, come on, yeah. You can't give your opponent 32 more snaps a game. And ask your defense to go. They stopped them 8 times on third down and got 2 turnovers. That's his words. That's winning formula against Ole Miss, against a Lane Kiffin team.
You got to have more than 19 points in a game like that.
Against
a team like that, you have to have.
Who's beating Kiffin with 19?
Nobody. Nobody. Not this year. No. Nobody. I can't come up with one. The first year he was here when they played Tennessee and they got routed, said I thought they did some better things in the second half, and I did too that day. I agreed with him. Hardly anybody did. It was a very feisty post-game show. Daniels actually started. That was the first time he started throwing the ball down the field a little bit, and it got lost because they got routed. I agreed with him that day. I don't agree with him here. I don't think that was very fluid offensively at all.
Nope.
No.
I agree with you, Charlie.
Brought to you by Total Maintenance. Since 1980, Total Maintenance, your one-stop shop electricity, heating, plumbing, because nobody ever wants to go to sleep. Hot Total Maintenance over the years has helped you out, man. They have done such a great job in both the New Orleans and Baton Rouge area. They are a authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Daykin, and Rheem AC units, Generac and Cummins generators for all your electrical and plumbing needs as well. Service today, every day in Baton Rouge, 480-1000 in New Orleans, 841-3300. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. Take a break here. Live at Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at Auburn and Missouri. Ole Miss and Georgia is the 2:30 game that week. And what else? You got A&M, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, South Carolina. So either 11 or 11:45 for LSU and Vandy. Order an extra orange juice and tomato juice up in Nashville right now. Last time they ran out of vodka.
11 o'clock kick. They ran out of beer.
They ran out of beer.
Yeah,
Okay.
Vanderbilt's
I don't know if they sell mixed drinks at.
No, I'm down on Broadway. They were saying that the bars ran out of screwdrivers and Bloody Marys.
I didn't hear that report.
Not inside the stadium, but just outside the stadium. But it's a sleepy little start sometimes, man. You can go up there for those 11 o'clock. It's easy to sleepwalk through them. Don't have to. But
even the 2019 team got off to a slow start there in the morning.
In the first quarter, and in the second quarter, Chase broke a long one, and one of the Vanderbilt guys got up in Burrow's face after the fifth touchdown or something, and Burrow just kind of gave the five fingers at him.
1, 2,
right, the five
yeah.
fingers. And do what you will with that. All right, we got games tonight. Chiefs, Jaguars, and then we get to the baseball. Jags a 3.5 point underdog.
Has the Chiefs minus 3.5, a 21-5 day yesterday on Football Sunday collectively. Good job by both of you going undefeated. And but count Randy's early game, a split 22-6 for our pro picks this week. So he's on Kansas City minus 3.5. So is the public, like Troy told us. A lot of people are on Kansas City. I don't know, man. And then Andy Isco has his 3-team teaser closing out with the Jaguars plus 9.5. So I'm kind of split on this one. Not the strongest opinion, but when in doubt, follow Randy McKay.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of the Chiefs right this second. They lost games. The Brazil game to the Chargers was a 6-point game. The game against the Eagles was a very close game. They beat the Giants, who were at the tail end of Russell Wilson. That was a terrible game. And they beat the Ravens, and right now the Ravens are a mash unit, and they're a mess. So
Kansas City's games are close. When have they not been close with this team? Okay,
they've been close for a long
years,
time.
especially more. So the one that wasn't was against the Ravens. We saw how bad the Ravens are, the kind of shape they're in right now, and so that is. I'm not ready to, and that was not a standalone game, but it was a featured game in the late window with less competition. I think a lot of people were recency bias on the Chiefs here. So, but that's not something that Randy McKay does very often. So I think you're right. Very interesting game. Who plays better? How do we know how good Trevor Lawrence is going to play? How do we know?
The Jaguars. That was a nice win for them in San Francisco.
Very.
We'll see if they can. We'll see if they can build on that. All right, we got National League baseball today, starting at 5:00 our time. Dodgers and Phillies, Snell and Luzardo.
Short 5-game series is so important, man. He's won single games. Blake Snell comes onto this one in unbelievable form. We know he's capable, but he is probably at his peak form-wise of coming into this game. The lineup looked pretty good. Luzardo, his last outing was good, but kind of inconsistent. And you want those clowns that we've been throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers in the regular season? You want a guy like Tyler Glass now. You want a guy like Clayton Kershaw. That's your bullpen now with this format that allows you to bring these starters. So I think that the Dodgers continue to roll in this one tonight.
Second game is Milwaukee and the Cubs. We had this on while we were watching football. Cubs get out, get a run in the first. Okay.
Solo shot to start the game?
Yeah. Milwaukee, double. And then it was 9-0. It seemed like I looked away from the game. It was 1-0 Cubs. I looked back. It was 2-1 Milwaukee. I look back. I was watching a little football. I look back, and it was 7-1.
Yeah, it was,
9-1, and the game's over in a second.
6 in the first? Or
6 in the first and 3 in the second, yeah.
Jeez. I mean, and look, double.
Yeah, just smashing the ball all over.
Like, not a whole lot of cheap ones. And I think that's going to continue. Imanaga has been good this season for the Cubs. It's been pretty average to below average as of late. Milwaukee's going to throw an opener. And Ashby. Ashby's going to go an inning or two, and that is it. But this is the team that's constructed. They get to the bullpen, they are lights out. They're probably one of the best bullpens, and I don't have a problem with it. All their arms are fresh. They didn't have to tax anybody of any substance in the win on Saturday, and so I think Milwaukee in a big way. I love their approach at the plate right now. They've been really good this year, and I like Milwaukee to continue. So both the teams to take 2-0 commanding leads.
Both favorites in the baseball, and Randy likes the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Thanks to our friends here at Walk-Ons in Brewley for being our host today. Tomorrow we'll be at Mike Anderson's, Wesley at Nicholson. For Max, for Jimmy, Jordan back in the studio. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned with Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.